Good afternoon, everyone. This is Professor Dan from Steel Camel down here in Tampa, Florida. Actually, we're on the Clearwater Causeway today between Tampa and Clearwater. Courtney Campbell Causeway, thank you. And we're with one of our customers, David Knorr, who is a serious, hardcore saltwater kayak fisherman. He uses the Steel Camel 1-2 punch, and he's going to walk us through how he uses our grease and our corrosion inhibitor on his saltwater trailer for kayak fishing. So the first section we're going to talk about, David with us, is the trailer hitch area of his assemble.
So I put the thread and post on the ball because it's anti-corrosion, and also it helps lubricate the ball. Okay, so I'm using the Steel Camel corrosion inhibitor. I put it on my little brush here, and I put it on my pin connectors, and that keeps them anti-corrosion. Plug it in, and then I also put it on the tongue lock here, because you got a lot of moving parts in there and springs. Get it soaked down in there real good, and then lock that in place. And then I have a lock that I put on the latch here, and I put the same stuff on all the moving parts, and even down inside the lock mechanism here, and that really keeps that thing from corroding, because I had a problem with it before corroding on me and having it be difficult to operate. So now I just put the Steel Camel on it and then lock it up. I also put the Steel Camel on the moving parts of the stand. Especially this spring here. Brush that in there. A little bit on here.
So one of the things about Steel Camel products are 1-2 punch, the liquid and the grease. They're both for pin connectors. Super important, because moisture, current, and contamination, particularly salt air, causes corrosion. So we use both. And why do we use both? Because our products are both electrically conductive. They allow for flow of electricity. So for multi-pin connectors, you have to use the liquid. On single pin connectors, you use thread and post. David is going to explain how he uses his products to hook up his garment.
Okay, so I usually have this little container with me in the kayak or in the car, and I'll dip it in the Steel Camel, and then I'll just brush it, kind of poke it into the pin connector holes. All right, and then this is for my Garmin. This is my Garmin electronics that I use, and it's got the male pins on the backside, and then I'll brush the Steel Camel on all of those pins then too, and that helps with the corrosion and as well as the electrical conductivity. And then I'll just plug it in, and that's it, bada bing. I also use the liquid Steel Camel on these battery connectors. So I'll pull that off, and I'll paint that and stick it down in there, paint that one, and plug it in, and then do the same thing for the positive.
How often do you do that, David?
I do this about once a week.
Oh my goodness.
Just for precaution.
One of the other things that Steel Camel does a lot with the boat trailers is we also focus on safety. Safety, safety, safety. and that means lights in the back of the trailer. No one wants to get hit when you're driving a trailer with a kayak on there because you don't have any lights on the back of your trailer. So therefore, we like to treat the electrical connectors on the trailer lights, and I'm gonna have David explain how he does it with Steel Camel.
Well, when I did the wiring on the trailer, I actually soldered the wires together, and then I put some of the Steel Camel, I painted the Steel Camel over the top of the solder joint, just to help with corrosion problems. And then after it was all soldered, and I coated with the Steel Camel over the solder joint. Then I used some liquid tape, liquid electrical tape, and I painted over the whole joint, and just to help keep corrosion out.
For those of us who live in Florida and fish in Florida, we know it gets hot, humid, lots of thermal cycling, lots of dew, lots of rain, and that causes corrosion on all parts of the kayak and the boat. And David's going to explain the seat, the track, and other different components to help make his kayak corrosion free so he has an excellent fishing experience. Go ahead, David.
Okay, I treat my tracks, have these tracks on the side of the kayak that hold different components, tools, and there's a track, you might be able to see it better. There's a track right here that holds the seat lock down on, and it slides. You can loosen this up and adjust your seat up and down. But all of these tracks are made out of aluminum, and aluminum does corrode. Most people think that aluminum will hold up in salt water, but it does corrode also. So I use the Steel Camel on the track, especially where it's going to be moving, forward and back, and that helps with lubricating it as well as preventing the corrosion of the aluminum.
One of the other problems of corrosion in the fishing world is these guys, tools. They're made out of, whether it's stainless steel, whether it's aluminum. We have salt water, we have high humidity, okay, and we have metal. They all converge together and they create corrosion. So people who use tools in salt water with fish guts on them need something that's reliable. And I'm going to ask David here to talk about how he treats his tools with Steel Camel.
All right, so I'll put a little bit of the Steel Camel on it, and then I'll just coat, especially where the pivot is. Put a drop in there and drop in there. No matter whether it's stainless steel or not, it'll still corrode. As you can see, this one is corroding. This has been in the salt for a long time, but it's still in good shape. Some stainless steel is really high quality stainless, and some is not quite so. And it will corrode a lot quicker than others. And so I put it on all my tools, and even my knife. I'll put it on my knife that is also stainless steel, but it's not a great quality of stainless steel. But so the Steel Camel helps prevent that from corroding. Anytime you have a joint, a movable joint, I try to put the Steel Camel on it. I use this little brush, painter's brush, or artist brush. So I do that on all my tools.